Hello and welcome to today's video. This video is going to be the Anti-Tbr Tag. This was created 2 years ago by Nicole and Her Books. I will link the original video down below, but essentially there are 8 questions about anti-TBR books, like books you won't read, authors you won't read, that sort of thing. I'm a bit late to this, obviously. It was like from 2 years ago, but I saw it and I thought it'd be some fun. So I'm going to give it a go. I'm just going to tell you the questions and then answer them, and hopefully you'll also think this is fun. Number 1, a popular book that everyone loves that you have no interest in reading. So for me, quite a popular new book that I keep seeing everywhere is Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow. And I have zero interest in reading this. It really just doesn't appeal to me at all. It's the only kind of like newer book that is super popular right now that isn't like, you know, straight up romance that I do see and does fit this question. But yeah, I just really don't have any interest. The synopsis doesn't intrigue me. And even though there's people out there reading it, like even people that I normally think have quite a similar reading taste to, that do primarily read like fantasy and sci-fi like myself, even people like that, when they're reading it and they're reviewing it, I still just don't care. It's just one that I don't care about, and I'm going to trust my gut instinct and trust that it's just not for me. It's just not one that I need to bother with, so there we go. Question number 2, a classic book or author that you have any interest in reading. Now, there were none that came to me off the top of my head because I don't read that many classics, but I went onto Goodreads and I went onto like the classics section and just scrolled, and one that popped up was Gone with the Wind. I don't know a lot about this, but I know I don't want to read it. So all that I have really heard of about this book is that it tries to glamorise slavery. So like, obviously I don't want to read it. Like, I don't want to read something like that. So yeah, that was a nice easy one when I saw that title. Yeah, Gone with the Wind. Don't think I'll ever read it. Then question number 3 is kind of split into 2 parts. I'm going to read both parts out and then answer them. I've answered both parts, but with contingencies. So question 3 is an author whose books you have no interest in reading, but then 3.2 is a problematic author whose books you have no interest in reading, and it says either combine them or do them separately. It's up to you. So I've got 2 authors here, but I have no interest in reading them, but I've never read them before, so I don't really feel like I can speak on the problematic aspects, because for the second author the problematic aspects are contained within the books from what I know. So the first author is Ali Hazelwood. Again, romance is like 90% of the time a miss for me. There's so few that I read and I actually truly enjoy and like I'm happy I read, that it feels like a bit of a cop-out. But yeah, that's one author that I definitely just have zero interest in. And again, it's an author that people who even read loads of fantasy seem to be reading and liking. Like, she seems to be everywhere. No matter what genre people normally read, they seem to be reading Ali Hazelwood, and I just don't care. So yeah. And then the other one, which I'm not going to talk on the problematic of this author, but the other one is Colleen Hoover. Honestly, all the books sound dreadful to me. I have no interest in them. They all sound dreadful. They don't at all sound like they are for me. But on top of that, all of my reading I make public online. Like, I film videos, I have a Bookstagram, I put it on Goodreads, and everything that I've heard about these books is that they have like problematic, toxic, manipulative romance. Like, one way or another, the romance that is involved in these romance books shouldn't be considered a romance, and that's what I've heard about everything. I just have no interest in it. I don't care. Like, I don't know why I'd want to read or like in any way consume a story like that. A story like that that isn't critical, I should add. Like, obviously I know some people can write these books and there's more to them. It sounds like this is just literally for the romance, even if the romance is toxic as fuck. But again, I can't actually talk on it because I haven't read them, but that's the vibe I'm getting, so I'm going to just stay away. Question number 4 is an author you've read a couple of books from and have decided their books are not for you. This is Taylor Jenkins Reid for me. I have now read both Daisy Jones and the Six and Evelyn Hugo. I didn't like either of them. They were both just mediocre. They're both pretty mediocre, but at the time I read them they were like the two best books, most hyped books, the ones that people like the most. More have come out since, I think, but yeah, I have no interest in it. It really wasn't for me. I really didn't like the characters, I didn't like portrayals, I didn't like the stories, and like they both had their positives for sure, but they both turned out to just be mediocre. And for books that are so hyped and that I expected so much from, I don't want mediocre. And to be honest, I don't want mediocre anyway. I want books that are fantastic. That is the ideal, to just read fantastic books. So yeah, not interested anymore, not going to read anymore. Question number 5 is a genre you have no interest in, or a genre you've tried to get into and couldn't. So for me, I honestly can't give you a genre here. Right now in my life there is no genre that I will completely be like, no, I'm never going to read. But romance is pretty close to being that. The reason is, I think I got really lucky. The first couple of like kind of romance books I read like were actually decent, and then since then they've all been crap. I keep giving it a try and it keeps disappointing me. I feel like because there's so many different types of romance and different types of romance you read, and like, I enjoy fantasy romance, so why can't I enjoy regular romance? I feel like there should be some that I can, but I haven't found it yet. And even though I still believe that there should be some that I do enjoy, the more and more I'm trying to find that, the more disappointment and crap reads I'm coming up with. And I feel like too many more crap reads, it just won't even be worth it for me. There's so many genres that I love. As much as it would be fun to know what I like in every genre, it's getting to the point where it's not going to be worth me continuing to explore and try and figure that out. So yeah, no genre to say right now, but ask me in a year and romance might be the answer. Question number 6 is a book that you've brought but will never read, and it does say this can be a book you have unhauled / returned to the library unread. So there's so many of these, like over time and like throughout the last few years of unhauled books that I haven't read. There's been so many. Right now 2 books that are on my unhaul pile, like they haven't gone yet because I stacked my unhaul pile up until there's enough to make a video out of, and then unhaul them all at once and have a grand old time. But 2 that are on my pile right now that I was genuinely excited for, really thought I was going to read them, and then I'm just like, nope. Wires and Nerves. This was a spin-off to the Lunar Chronicles series, but it's a graphic novel spin-off following one of my favourite characters, and I started reading it and I just couldn't get into it. It was so different. The actual artwork inside it didn't really work for me and what I like and what my eyes enjoy, and I just wasn't enjoying the story, so I've put it down. I'm not going to read it. And then the other one is On the Road by Jack Kerouac. Yeah, this was also not good. I got about 20% into this one and I've put it down. I'm not going to read it. I'm not going to read it. Yeah, definitely not for me. I know some people like it. Not for me. Many problems with it. If you want my full thoughts on that one, I will link the video up above here. It was part of a reading vlog and I really went in depth as to why I wasn't enjoying it and what I wasn't enjoying about it in that one. So it is in that reading vlog that's linked up there if you do want to know more. But yeah, no, we'll not be continuing with. So yeah, those are 2 that I purchased them, I brought them, they're here. I'm never going to read them. Question number 7 is a series you have no interest in reading, or a series you've started and have DNF'd. So there's 2 series that I have read book 1 of and have then decided to DNF them, and those 2 series are The Umbrella Academy and Finlay Donovan. So The Umbrella Academy, I read the first graphic novel after watching the TV show, and it just felt like it was lacking a lot. It was lacking a lot in the characters and character development, and it was lacking a lot in the plot. It was one of the few cases where I truly think the show was better. So I have no interest in continuing with the graphic novels, and I'll just probably continue with the show at some point. So yeah, Umbrella Academy, I read the first one. I'm not reading the rest of the series. And then Finlay Donovan. Yeah, this is an interesting one. I only decided to completely DNF the series last week. I read Finlay Donovan last year and it was okay. Like, it wasn't my favourite, but it was okay, and I felt like it had promise. But there were a lot of things in it that I really didn't like and I really hated. But I was like, it's okay. I'll give book 2 a go. Book 3 is coming out. I was excited that we were getting book 3. I think I put it on like an anticipated list. Like, I was genuinely excited for this. And I was like, it'll get better. Like, this was just book 1. And since then I've watched a couple of book reviews, and then there was a live show for when some people had got together and read like book 3, and they talked about all of them. And it turns out that everything I hated about book 1, everything that I really just couldn't deal with but was putting aside because it'd get better, was even more prevalent and even more a part of the story in books 2 and 3. So after watching that and hearing people discuss it and really seeing that actually all these things I hate are things that continue to happen more and more and more and more a part of the story, I was like, do you know what, no, I'm not putting myself through that. DNF it. So I did. I DNF that series too. And then finally, question number 8 is a new release you have no interest in reading. Now this was a bit more of a difficult question for me to answer, to be honest. Like, I could go on a new release page and anything that isn't fantasy or sci-fi I could name, because honestly I probably won't get to it. Fantasy, sci-fi, I read those of. The others, not so much. I need, you know, to know a bit more about it. I need to really want to read it. So yeah, but that felt like a bit of a cop-out. So I found a list on Goodreads that was 2023 fantasy and sci-fi releases, and I scrolled and scrolled and scrolled, and it took a while to scroll. I'm not gonna lie, I was on that list a while looking for a book that I just genuinely was not gonna read, was not interested in. There were a few that were like books 2, 3 or 4 in series, so like I'm not interested in them, but that's just because I haven't read book 1, like I don't know anything about them. Again, felt like a cop-out. Eventually I came across a book called Infinity Gate. This comes out later this month. I will not read this. I have no interest in reading this. Yeah, not gonna be for me. So this sounds like it's all about an AI being a threat over multiple dimensions of Earth. And I'm gonna be completely honest, the everyday, every person, like common advances that we've been making in AI recently are honestly like freaking me out. Like, I am not yet on board with that, let's just say. I've not got there yet, and it's not something I want to read about, especially right now, but honestly I don't think I will at all when it's like this AI is a threat. I watched a lot of movies when I was younger, I read a lot of books when I was younger, and maybe I've read too much, but personally right now I'm like, well, the more we interact with them and the more we use them, the more likely you are to die first. So yeah, that is probably a massive overreaction from myself right now, but that's where I'm currently at. So for that reason, I have no interest in reading this book. So yeah, those were all of the questions. Those are all the questions answered. I hope that you liked them. I hope you liked the answers. If you have the answers of your own for any of these questions, let me know down below. Let me know any books that you're just like, nope, not at all for. And yeah, I do hope you enjoyed the video. This is quite an old tag, so I'm not gonna like tag anyone in it, but if you haven't done this and you do want to like do it, it was quite a fun time, so I do recommend. So yeah, if you did like the video, please do give it a like, subscribe down below if you'd like to see more content like this, and hopefully I'll see you next time. Bye.